2020, what a crazy year it was. And in the midst of all the craziness, church, you were crazy generous. And in the midst of a global pandemic, we were able to celebrate our second largest missions giving year ever. Now, our vision for missions and radical generosity is not just about sending money, but also about sending out our best people as God calls them. This year, we watched as God began to call some of our best to go and make disciples in places He was calling them to. Like in the book of Acts, we were able to help launch them out with tears of joy, sending microchurch leaders out to other states and launching out staff members who were sent as missionaries both nationally and with local missions partners. And some who have even helped plant new churches. Christine and Kelly, we see you over there with Greenhouse Tampa. What a joy and an honor it is to be Missions Outpost, an ascending agency called by God for such a time as this. Lastly, I couldn't wrap this video up without highlighting what God is doing in my own home country of Guyana. In a year that saw unprecedented shutdowns, we saw the gospel flourish, spreading across international borders as we partnered with Jesus to see our first international microchurches launched in Guyana. How amazing is Jesus? I am praying these pages stir your heart to believe Jesus like never before, to see people come alive and the gospel go forth from South Florida to the nations.
Hey, Pastor Robert here. As the pandemic set in, our microchurch leaders quickly pivoted to online ministry, turning living rooms into Zoom rooms so that we could continue to care for our people and make disciples in the midst of this season of isolation and physical distancing. We saw new members joining from all over the world as innovative leaders gather their microchurches online, even watching as 2 new microchurches sprouted up in Guyana. At the height of the pandemic, new microchurch signups were up over 67% as people who would never step foot in a typical microchurch setting were integrated into green communities online. Disciples were raised virtually and in person, despite the challenges posed by the pandemic. The unity of microchurches and the steadfastness of our leaders ensure that discipleship was pressing on. We are so thankful to God for our incredible microchurch leaders and the love-fueled commitment they had to our church family during this trying season. And we look forward to continue to help ordinary people become passionate followers of Jesus as life begins to return to a new normal here in 2021.
As we sense God speak fresh vision and direction over our church for this next year, we sensed Him highlight really 2 key words: discipleship and multiplication. Now, we've watched over this past year as online attendance metrics soared. Now, this is exciting, but it's not enough. Why? Because we don't just want attendees. We're called to make disciples. We're praying this year, in fact, that every single member of our church family would be activated to grow as a disciple, living in the green, as well as to make a disciple, baptizing and teaching them to obey. And if we see this come to pass, guess what? Our microchurches will run out of room. Our serve teams will grow too large and will need to multiply. We sense God stirring our hearts to launch back into Sundays at Western High School and then launch out from Western to reach our city and make disciples. We sense God calling us with greater focus to both the Nova and FIU campuses, with new vision and plans for helping ordinary college students become passionate followers of Jesus, including a regular worship service on or near the FIU campus. We are so thankful to Jesus for sustaining us during an unprecedented season of pain and challenges, and we look forward with hope-filled anticipation to what He has in store for the future. His kingdom come, His will be done, right here in South Florida as it is in heaven.